Wow, we've gone through the 50s, the 70s, and we're into the Romantic Renaissance. And if we're in the Romantic Renaissance, what keeps you from finding a soulmate? What is the real problem? Even though we've been through 3 different ages, and most of the things have changed, there's one thing that hasn't. I'm wondering if you saw it. The one thing that's remained the same in every age that we've discussed is the pattern. Meet, match, learn to adapt. Marry, mismatch, and end in divorce. The real problem is the traditional dating and relationship pattern. Meet, match, learn to adapt, and in specific, the learn to adapt. Learning to adapt has probably come out of the 50s, both from couples and relationship experts. That message has been passed down over the decades in sayings like, learn to compromise, you're too picky, be patient, relationship is give and take. The message has been beaten into us since we were kids. And it's no wonder that we automatically begin to adapt when we start dating. We learn to accept the differences, the idiosyncrasies, the shortcomings, the personality issues in our partners. Adapting is also enabled through our personal filters, our personal romantic beliefs like love conquers all, or our spiritual or religious beliefs, love is patient, love is kind, love is not self-seeking. It might also be your self-improvement, personal enlightenment tools. Those also permit us to adapt way too easily to people's differences. Even time is against you. Aren't you naturally going to adapt to someone when you have to date them for 2 years before you get married? 2 years. That's 1,000,000 minutes to learn to adapt. None of these personal beliefs are bad per se, but they get in the way when we date. When we learn to adapt to our partner's differences, we preload the divorce gun. What did I say about the reasons we marry and divorce? We marry because of our similarities. We divorce because of our differences. And when the breakup comes, all those personal beliefs, the religion, the spirituality, the personal enlightenment, the romantic view of love, none of those have any redeeming value when the breakup comes. The only thing that counts are the differences. When we follow that traditional pattern, we build the differences right into the relationship. And those are the exact same differences that cause us to get divorced later. We spend 2 years learning to adapt and then 20 years regretting it. So, if learning to adapt to the differences is the real problem, what then is the real answer? The obvious answer might be to focus on limiting the differences. But just as we've learned from the previous segments, obvious doesn't necessarily equate to real. Einstein said that you can't solve a problem by using the same thinking that was used when you created the problem. Trying to focus on or limit the differences is the same 1950s thinking that got us here in the first place. The solution isn't to concentrate more on the mismatches. The real solution, you need to write this down, the real solution is to find a relationship that doesn't have any mismatches. A different pattern, a different type of relationship. We need a radically different departure. The takeaway is that learning to adapt is what causes people to select less than perfect relationships and to miss finding a soulmate. Up next, I want to tell you about a relationship that doesn't have any mismatches. Up next, we're going to talk more about getting to the real problem and a real solution.